Welcome to the show, everyone. Coming up on today's show, we talk to a person whose first cruise totally changed his life. Of course, we're talking about Spencer from Cruise Week Season 1. We will have another pick of the week in our Show Us Your Face segment, and of course, talking about our future fun cruises. I am Matt, your lovely host, and this is Cruise Week TV Live. Welcome to Cruise Week TV Live. I'm Matt, your redheaded host, back with another week of fun, interactive guest chats and cruise information from a total newbie. Yes, I did say I'm a total newbie, as I've only been on just one cruise, but that's okay, because bringing in the experts is our specialty. So we're bringing them on the show, we share their tips and experience with you all, so we get to learn all their secrets of how to have an amazing cruise together. This week, we're making a change from having an expert on as our guest to having a rather interesting person. We're bringing back another newbie cruiser who was on his first cruise with me. And if you watch Cruise Week Season 1, you'll have fallen in love with his daily stories from the Caribbean. It is, of course, Spencer. Hey, Spencer, how's
Hi
it
guys.
going?
Hey Matt, how are you?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. How is your night going so far?
I'm not in Florida, so I am freezing.
It's actually kind of cool tonight. It's in the 50s.
Oh, I'm jealous. I think we're right about freezing right now, so I'll take the 50s.
Nice. So, I haven't talked to you in quite a while. What have you been up to after the cruise? Like, give us a little catch-up story from like then to now.
Um, gosh. Well, I went back to school. I got my GED.
Nice.
I unfortunately my grandfather came ill and he's doing a lot better now, but I moved out of state to kind of help out with them, and that's where I am now. So everything's going
Nice.
pretty good.
So let's get to the main event of the night. A lot of people were very curious about what you did on the cruise ship just because you weren't kind of with us that often. You went on a lot of side adventures, if I'm correct, right?
My own personal excursions, if you will.
Your own personal excursions, if you will. I like that. So, looking back, what was your favorite moment on the cruise? I know it might be a little hard to pick one, so you would say one or two moments.
Yes. I'd say my favorite on the ship was sleeping on the Serenity deck. Um, my favorite off the ship was probably when we went to Belize.
Nice. How was it sleeping on the Serenity deck? I tried doing it once, but it was really humid at night, so everything was all wet. And we went a little bit later on when they were cleaning off the Serenity deck, so everything was wet. I think they intentionally make the furniture wet so people try not to sleep there. So, can you describe what it like? Well, what is a Serenity deck, and how was it like to sleep there?
Yes, the Serenity deck, for those that aren't familiar, is it's somewhere up higher on the ship, and it's called Serenity deck because it's just so serene. I Somebody had told me to check it out, and as soon as I did, I just fell in love.
Hmm.
One of the nice things about kind of sleeping out, it's almost like camping, but there's no bugs, and you're right underneath the stars, and it was beautiful. The deal with not getting wet is you have to get there early because they
Hmm.
do the deck scrub late at night. So if you get there early, you save yourself a good spot and you won't get
What's
sprayed down.
early?
Oh
What would you
gosh.
say is like early type of time? Because on a cruise ship, it kind of varies.
Yes. That's just the thing. I don't think I slept at a regular normal time at all. Gosh, that's a good one. 11 midnight. I think that they did all the cleaning at like the wee hours, 3 or 4 o'clock in the
Hmm.
morning. So if you were there just a couple hours beforehand, you saved a good spot. You'll be in just fine shape.
Nice. So, since you slept on the Serenity deck so often, when did you actually sleep in your cabin?
Um, the very last night, I was nervous
Very
that
last
I'd get
night.
left on the ship or
Hmm.
I wouldn't be able to pack my luggage. So the very last night, I was like, you know what? Let's break in these lovely carnival beds. I kind of regret it because the beds were very comfortable.
Mhm.
Um, but it was nice sleeping on the Serenity deck. I wouldn't change a thing. I really wouldn't.
So on the ship itself, when we first went in there, a lot of people recognized us pretty much right away. And you seem to make quite a lot of friends on the ship. Do you still keep in touch with them? And how many do you think you made on the ship?
Well, that's a good question. I know I made lots and lots of friends. I'm a little bit of a social butterfly,
Hmm.
given the right circumstances. And when you're on a cruise ship, it's basically like a giant holiday for a week straight. Excuse me, I also had a pretty good dinner tonight. Some of the people, though, they are lifelong friends. We still
Hmm.
talk. Excuse me. Um, some of the actual number of people, it's hard to pinpoint. I'd say at least a half a dozen I talk to very often.
Hmm.
There's probably two or three that have become just very close friends of mine. And of course, some of the people that were watching, I don't want to drop any names yet. They know who they are, but some of the people that were watching when we were there, they still keep in touch with me. And
Nice.
it's almost like my little fan following, you know,
Hmm.
and just some really great people, you know.
So we actually have a couple people that you may recognize. This one is Patricia. Oh gosh, I Pugh? Patricia. Sorry, Patricia Pugh. I'm really bad at names. I can barely like remember a lot of the names that I kind of hang out with now. So if I butcher your name, I apologize. I'm trying my best. I have Bird in my ears, kind of whispering the correct pronunciations for some. Anyway, she says it's great to see you again. She loved hearing all your stories. We have Kim Roddy asking, did anyone mess with you while sleeping on the Serenity deck?
No, it was totally serene. I remember a few times the cleaners would come by and you know they would spray everything down just like you were
Mm-hmm.
saying, and that's one of the things I loved about the people that worked on the Carnival cruise ship. They would just go about and they would go to all the other little I don't know what you want to call them, the little cove things that people would
Yep,
sit
yep.
in. I don't know what they're called. But they would go to all the other different little ones and they would clean them out. And I never got hosed down. They never gave me a good bath. They just let me sleep the whole time. It was great. Very
Nice.
serene.
One of the best parts about the Serenity deck, for those who don't know, I think it's is it 18 or 21 up? I know kids can't go on. It's 21 years or older, which is really good. So
Okay.
usually people are a bit more mature, and unless they're like super drunk, they're usually not going to mess with you there. So that's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things about going on the Serenity deck. It was just that. So
It was very serene.
you didn't really spend a lot of time with us. You kind of did your own thing. Why exactly? Did you not like us, or?
Well, with all due respect, I wanted a good adventure.
Hmm.
And it wasn't that anything was intentional. I remember our first stop was the Mexico one, and
Hmm.
all of you guys had chose to. It was a package where it was all you can drink and a free meal within the
Yep.
allotted time that we were in Mexico.
Barefoot Beach.
Right. Okay. And it sounds, you know, it sounds like a lovely idea. You know, it really, and I'm sure it was a great bargain. But my initial thought was, okay, well, I'm in Mexico. I don't know
Hmm.
when I'll be in Mexico again. I can
I
go
think a
to any
couple of days
bar.
later.
Well, that was an island. Cozumel is totally different than the
Hmm.
mainland, and you
Hmm.
know that too. Um, but I said, you know, I don't want to sit at a bar. I can do that, you know, anytime when I'm back in Florida. So I said, I'm in Mexico. Let's go out and see the Mayan ruins. Let's go out and eat the Mexican, like the real Mexican food, have a real margarita. Oh my God, I had such an amazing time.
So you bring up real Mexican food and real food. So I've been waiting to ask this question, and it's a great segue in. So, what does iguana taste like, and why is it something that I want to bring up? Like, what makes me so interested in some different types of meats? Hmm.
Well, I think it's probably because I am still a vegetarian. I think it's been 9 years now.
Hmm.
And this was in Roatan that I had the iguana. And if you will, when in Roatan, do as the Hondurans do, and they eat iguana. So I had maybe just the teensiest, tiniest little bit, and to me, again, as a vegetarian, it just tasted like chicken. It tasted like chicken marinated in chicken and covered in chicken broth with. It just tasted like chicken. I don't know.
Mhm.
So it was
It
good
sounded
though. It
pretty
really
good. I
was. It was
wish I got to try it.
tender. What was that?
I said it sounded good. I wish I got to try it.
Yes, it when you looked at it, it almost had it might have been the spices that they used. It almost had a yellowish tint, and
Hmm.
when you picked it apart with the fork, it reminded me of what fish was like. How fish it kind of like separates with a fork. I don't know how you want to call it.
Yeah.
But the iguana did the same thing, and it just tasted just so much like chicken. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe that's just the vegetarian in me. I don't know.
Well, either way, you did enjoy it though, right?
You're putting me on the spot. It was good if you like chicken. I'll put it to you like that.
Hmm. Good. So we got a couple more questions coming in from our viewers. If you guys have any questions for myself, Spencer, or Bird, leave them in the comments below, and we'll try to get to them in the rest of the show. Let's see, where was it? We have a question from Periscope asking, was there any risk about going out on your own?
Yes, that became aware at the very first stop that you're not in America.
Hmm.
You don't have a lot of these countries don't have the money that we do, and I'm certainly not a rich person.
Hmm.
But you almost become a target because you're automatically associated with America and money. What I will say is I would never go out entirely on my own. The very first stop, I went with a lovely couple that I met on the ship. We all went out together. I feel like there's strength in numbers.
Hmm.
But as long as I feel like you go out with at least a few people, you keep a cell phone on you,
Hmm.
you should be all right. And don't forget, you're an American tourist, so even when you're in their countries, you still kind of have a little bit of an edge up on them, so to speak.
So, the people that you were traveling with, I think, you mentioned before when we were on the ship that a lot of them got treated almost like islanders, just because they were very similar looking, to them. Do you think that kind of helped? And can you describe like a lot of the people that you're hanging out with?
Yeah. I went. I hung out with a lot of. I actually linked up with a black lesbian group, and I absolutely love every single one of those women. And if any of them are watching, I love you. When we were in Belize, excuse me, the people in Belize are all black people, and I was very fortunate to have a great, wonderful lady go with me. And at first, maybe being the man, I tried doing the negotiating on my own,
Hmm.
and I was almost kind of like shunned. And then she started doing the talking and everything, and I felt like we got a better experience because um, the cab driver and her, they felt like they could relate better. Whereas when I walked in the middle of Belize, I was automatically looked at as being an American.
Hmm.
When she was looked at, maybe because it was the skin tone, I'm sure it was, but she was almost, they didn't give her a second look because she could more easily
Hmm.
blend in. But me, I don't know, it was a little bit harder, I guess.
Hmm. We have another Facebook question coming in from Ray. So we talked about you having like some risk, maybe venturing out of the cruise ship. Did you have any fears about being on the cruise ship in the middle of the ocean?
Oh gosh, that's what scared me long before we ever got on the ship. I was scared to death. I watched Titanic a week before we got on
Oh
it.
God.
Being out in the middle of the ocean, let me tell you, at first I was petrified of not seeing any land. It's 365 and there's no land all around you, nothing but ocean. But that was the most peaceful, the most serene part of it was being just in the middle of the ocean. Literally, I almost called it God's country, so to speak. It was beautiful. Once I finally got on the ship and I realized how safe it was, I'd say almost all of my fear went away. There was at
Hmm.
one point, there was, I believe it was a prank call, but they had said man overboard. And of course, I
Mm,
mean, I think anybody would have gotten a little bit, nervous about that. But I think that would have been the only thing that really had me,
yeah.
nervous. But
It
all in
was a
all, it was
prank call,
wonderful.
and those people got kicked off the ship on the next island.
Yes, that's what I believe I read. Yep, absolutely.
We have another question from Periscope asking, what ship did you go on with us?
It was the Carnival Magic. We went to Costa Maya, Mexico, Roatan, Honduras, Belize City, Belize, and then Cozumel, Mexico again. So
Did you remember this, or did you look it up and make notes?
no, I'll never forget. It changed my life. I
I, I,
love.
I wish I could remember like you. I'm like, crap, where did we go?
Yeah.
Mexico, an island, back to Mexico. Got it.
Well,
Good.
like I always want to know where I am, what I'm doing. I like learning.
Hmm.
So even like when we went to Costa Maya, forgive me for saying, I'd almost call it a tourist trap because it was basically like a city that Carnival had created. And if you wanted to get like an authentic experience, you had to go like out. So we ended
Hmm.
up going to Chacho Bend, Mexico or whatever. But I like to know where I am, what I'm doing. I want to know the history, the geography. Even before I got on the ship, I was like long researching. I was like, what am I going to do in Mexico? What am I doing in Roatan? What am I doing in Belize? Like, I want to know. I
Hmm.
don't want it to be thrown there and like, okay, well, you're in Belize. Now what are you going to
Kim Rodney
do?
asks, so what was your favorite daytime activity on the ship? Was it kind of drinking, just being with your buddies, or what did you really do on the ship? Because when we saw you on the ship, it was like, oh my gosh, there's
Yeah,
Spencer.
well, that's exactly what it was. People watching. I mentioned earlier that I never went to bed at the same time. That's
Hmm.
because I was like sensory overload. I was just trying to take everything in. I would
Hmm.
go around and I would bounce around to different groups of people. I would walk the ship by myself. I would, excuse me, my goodness, I'm drinking Coca-Cola right now. But it was just honestly like walking around and just absorbing as much as I could. I wanted to take in as much as I could while I was there. I didn't know when I'd go again. I didn't know, how everything would work out. But
Hmm.
I'd say probably my most favorite was just kind of just walking around and socializing. If I had to choose a particular thing, it would probably be the food, whether it was getting it from the buffet or when we sat down for the dinners.
Hmm.
The food is everywhere. But yeah, I guess I'd have to really say just walking around and socializing, I guess. That's a
Nice.
good question. Very good question.
I think we saw you the most at dinner. Dinner time was, if you guys watch Cruising Season 1 on the site, we tried to do a video dinner almost every night where we all got together no matter what we were doing and just kind of sit down and relax. My favorite part of the dinner was you could get more than one entree and try a lot of different foods. Plus, they had that exotic taste menu where I had, gosh, what was it? Frog's legs, rabbit, cow tongue, which I think, Spencer, you had some tongue
It was
too.
ox tongue. Yes, it
Ox
was.
tongue,
Yep.
sorry.
Yep. I had a little tiny bite and it tasted like
Prime
super
rib.
beefy.
Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
loved it.
I'm kind of grossed out now.
Carissi Collie from Facebook asked, why was this cruise in general so life changing for you?
I believe that's Charisse, and she is one of my good little
Charisse,
buddies. That
sorry.
yeah, she followed me from the cruise week. Yes, it was life changing because maybe this is a little bit deep, but I feel like a lot of us, especially as Americans, we tend to like put our blinders on, and we're so self-absorbed, and we're caught up with what we're doing. We get upset if we don't have the latest iPhone. Better yet, I lost power for an hour today because there was a storm that went through. And it's like, well, you know what? Why aren't you thankful that you at least have power? And it was like, especially when I went off on my own and
Hmm.
I experienced these countries firsthand, you can just see the poverty that these people have. And it's not even so much that they're even aware because they take what they're given and they make do the best that they can.
Yeah.
It was such a humbling experience to see other people live like that. And we get caught up in all these small things. When we were in Belize with, they called her Atlanta. Um, I'm not going to say her name, but she was one of my very good friend of mine. Adrian actually is her name. The whole time we were in Belize, thank God she did all the talking because I was just crying the whole time because you just see firsthand what these people go through,
Hmm.
and they're even unaware of. Maybe they are aware, but even still, the people come together in ways that you and I and so many others will never understand because we have a privilege. We weren't born like that. But when you see it firsthand, it's just like I don't know, it was so eye-opening. It
Hmm.
To say it's changed my life is just a huge understatement. It really, really is.
So that sounds like you had a pretty almost spiritual time just kind of walking around the city. We also had the luxury of walking around Belize, and we tried to avoid the tourist trap area. We walked over that little bridge, and if you guys seen season one, we kind of walked around the area, and it was very impoverished, very poverty stricken. Not a lot, and prices of their goods there too were pretty expensive. They were pretty similar to prices in the U.S. It was just very interesting kind of walking around and actually interacting with some locals, seeing how they
Yeah,
live, the buildings, walking by schools, and just kind of seeing life on the island in general. It's
absolutely.
interesting.
It was a very humbling experience. The exchange rate in Belize, I believe it was 2 Belizean dollars equals 1 American.
Hmm.
And um, a lot of the products, like say we would get a 2 liter Coca-Cola back in the United States for say $2. It was the same price, but it was like a 1.75 liter. So
Hmm.
they're just about paying the same price. They don't have the same money that we have, and they're getting less product in the end. So
Hmm.
it was just a very eye-opening, yes, spiritually. I mean, that's a wonderful way of putting it because it just changed everything about me. Honest to God, really did.
So Charisse asked a couple more questions. She asked Spencer, did you decide if you're going on the annual Carnival, uh, past, present, and future cruisers in 2017 with us?
I believe that's the October 29th one. We were just talking about that a little bit before the show.
Hmm.
Come hell or high water, I will be there. I already have $300. Not like it's a whole lot, but it's my little savings. Whenever I get a little bit of money, I go to Carnival and I buy $100 gift card, and I just set
Nice.
it aside. So that is my plans to do the October 29th one of 2017. I need to either link up with a travel agent or either go through Carnival. I need to find out the best way to do that. But yes, it is absolutely part of my plans to be there. Absolutely. Cannot wait.
We know a couple travel agents that we've had in the show before. We'll send you some information from her.
Awesome.
Um, gosh, Ron Hiller asked, "Tell us the truth. How was it sailing with Matt?" I am interested to hear this answer too.
Um, it was great. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're
Um,
just kidding. It wasn't great.
no,
Oh,
honestly,
oh.
well, the thing is, I guess it was still kind of like a learning process. Matt is incredibly intelligent. Of course he knows that. I mean, I'm not stroking his ego or anything.
Stroke
So,
away.
that kind of whatever. Um, to say he's a know-it-all, I wouldn't say that. Of course I wouldn't do that. But no, it was. I don't know how to explain. I didn't have any issues. I wouldn't say I had any issues with anybody. there was a couple of tips I had with one person, but I don't think I want to drop his
I feel like
name.
at the first time on the first couple days you kind of ventured off with some of the other guys, and then towards the end of the cruise
Yeah.
we kind of started to hang out a little bit more and just get to know each other a little bit better.
Well,
Would
the again, maybe I put blinders on, but I put my trust in another one of the cruisers. And that person impacted my views on some of the other cruisers. And only over time was I able to see not only were they wrong, but I was wrong. And towards the end, I kind of found out that you're actually a pretty awesome guy. You know, you
yay.
and Zach, the other Zach, Jeff's all right. So
Oh God.
you have to make your own assumptions,
Mhm.
and you can't just go on what somebody else is saying
Yep.
because that's their perception. And but I like I said, I think what it was that none of us really, I mean, nobody knew me, I guess, and I didn't know anybody. So
Hmm.
I was still just kind of trying to find my way and, see how I would get in with the group. But
Yeah.
towards the end, absolutely, like you said, I think we were thicker than thieves. Especially towards the end, I wish that, it would have worked out a little bit differently because I
Hmm.
honestly had a great time with you guys. I really, really did.
Nice. We had a really fun time too. This is a Periscope question from Tasty Snack. What was the
I
one thing you forgot to pack that you think others shouldn't overlook when you go on the ship?
probably packed a million things that I never ended up using. I will say that Carnival cruise ship is really great about if you forgot something, if you didn't have it, they were very accommodating. I would say I did not pack enough clothes. You don't realize how much clothes you go through in a week, especially a week that is just nonstop. You might, like here in the States, I'll wear one shirt all day long. I might
Hmm.
change, take a shower, something like that. When you're on the cruise ship, you can literally go through like three shirts and two pairs of pants in one day. And yeah,
Yeah.
like I would probably double or triple the amount of clothes that I pack.
Really? I found out that,
And
well, I
probably
also
two
drink quite a
pairs of
lot
them.
too, so I found out that it's always good to pack quite a lot of clothes, but I didn't really use all my clothes because when I was on the island, I would kind of just wear like a tank top, and I would use it like later on the ship. I usually most of the time I didn't really wear shirts. It's just a bathing suit and sandals. Hmm. So
Hmm.
we have a final question
Yeah, I would
coming
also
up.
say,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
sure. Oh no, no, I was just gonna say, two pairs of swimming trunks would probably also help
Oh
because
yeah.
or bathing suits, men or women, because one will get wet and then you'll want another one, and you don't want to wear the wet one in the AC. So that's also another good
Hmm.
idea. So
Nice. So we have the final question of the night, and this comes from Joe DeMilo. Sorry, Judy DeMilo. Sorry if I butcher names. I'm trying. She asks, if you cruise again, what would you do that you didn't do the first time around?
I really hate to say it. I would probably do a little bit more of the touristy things. And my reason why is
Hmm.
because if you have like a tour guide take you to some of these places, you're actually getting like the real knowledge. When we went
Hmm.
to the Mayan ruins in Mexico on the first stop, we had like an hour and we had to run through as quick as we could. And there wasn't like a tour guide saying, like, this is the gauntlet, this is, so to have like a tour guide actually kind of like explain what you're seeing,
Hmm.
it might have worked out a little bit better. That's about all I can really think of, though.
Nice. Well, at least you have another opportunity to join us again, so I'm looking forward to that. And this time you could probably join us in the little touristy section. So we had a lot of fun, and I think you would definitely have a blast for some of them.
I can't wait.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Spencer. I hope everyone had a fun time being reunited with you. You're invited to stick around for after the show, and we'll hit you back up after.
Great. Thanks, Matt.
Yep, no problem. See you later, Spencer. So, while life on a cruise ship for a staff member appears glamorous and enviable, there is a darker world beyond the surface that even passengers aren't aware of. Our next guest this week has written all about it in her book, In her new book, Sex, Lies, and Cruising. Catherine Chapman spent years traveling the world and working on cruise ships, first working at onboard Photoshop in her 20s before returning later on as working as a staff member for the cruise ships, and then finally finishing off as the entertainment team and social host. After years of wild nights, lies, and even a few broken hearts, Catherine, who is now married with a baby boy, decided to use her experiences and write herself her debut novel, Sex, Lies, and Cruising, a somewhat fictional account. Some of the names have been changed just to protect the not so innocent people she traveled with. That was inspired by some of the more crazy times that she had aboard. If you haven't read this book, it is an amazing and enthralling read, so make sure you check in and ask Catherine your questions next week. Super excited to talk to her. I really enjoyed the book, and if you guys haven't read it before, definitely check it out. I have it on the Kindle book, so it's on there. Check it out. It's really cool. So the show us your face segment for the picture of the week. So if you guys are unfamiliar with the segment, we like to have you guys send us your pictures at photos@cruiseweek.tv and show us your face, basically. Send us a picture of you on a cruise ship and tell us a little about yourself, where this picture was taken, and we'll feature you on the segment. So this week we have Annie Tavares, pictured with her bestie on the Carnival Cruisers Past, Present, and Future Diva Cruise in 2015. Doesn't that ocean and drinks just look amazing? Ah! So if you guys want to be featured in our segment, send it again to photos@cruiseweek.tv, and maybe you'll be featured on our show. You gotta try, though, to be on. Next, send us your tips and tricks videos. If you guys have been on a cruise before and you have some type of tips or trick that may help me out for future cruises, some of our guests, or just some of our viewers, let us know. Send us a video for about 2 minutes long explaining your tip or your trick or something that you learned on the ship to help others. I know I was definitely in a rough spot for a lot of times. I didn't even know about that little shower thing. There's like this little hook in the shower that you pull out and you put it there to dry your bathing suits. I didn't find that out till like the second to last day, and I'm like, oh, that would have been super, super helpful instead of walking around in a moist, soggy bathing suit a lot of time. So if you guys have any videos like that, send them in, and that's going to be at zach@cruiseweek.tv. You can submit your 2 minute long video. If you guys really enjoy our shows, support us at cruiseweek.tv.com and yeah, /support. Mention us in your special inner circle if you guys try to decide to give us a little donation to help us out for season 2 coming up on October 29th on the Carnival Vista for our season 2 cruise. Yeah, you will be featured in our inner circle group on Facebook. Or if you guys don't have enough funds to be able to donate, just follow us, give us a like, give us a share, and subscribe to us. If you subscribe to us, you'll be able to get live notifications for when we go live. And we have our little 10-minute pre-show. Feel free to come on in, give us a shout. Usually kind of just chat about our week, my day, my new shoes, my hair, all the important stuff about cruising. So guys, as always, we will see you on the ships. Have a great New Year's. Hopefully 2017 is a super time.